Chosen one, the sudden glow around you this month is not an accident or a trick of the light. It is an appointment. It is as if God reached toward the dimmer switch of your life force and turned it a notch brighter, not to set a trap, but to teach you the weight of carrying warmth. You feel it when a room inhales as you enter, when conversations tilt toward you, when eyes linger, a heartbeat longer than usual. Do not rush to fear it or flaunt it. Stand in it like sunlight and let it explain itself. What you are sensing as high sexual energy is part of the same current that sparks prayer, births ideas, quickens courage, and makes songs out of ordinary afternoons. Desire is not your enemy here. It is a river that wants banks. In months past, you learned how to survive drought. This month, you are learning how to steward flow. The radiance is not about conquest. It is about coherence, the rare alignment of spirit and body and purpose that makes presence feel like a promise kept. You do not owe this glow to mirrors or audiences. Its proof is quieter. Your spine remembers its natural height. Your voice finds a tone that needs no exclamation point to carry weight. Your laugh stops asking permission to be heard. Even your pace changes. You are less rushed, more exact, as if time finally believes you will use it well. People will call it attractiveness because that is the vocabulary they have for gravity. Heaven calls it agreement. Your body is agreeing with your calling rather than arguing with it. That agreement makes you magnetic, and magnetism is revealing. It draws moths and eagles, admirers and assignments, the curious and the covetous. Do not be spooked by the crowd at the edge of your light. Bless them and learn them. Some were sent to be healed by your steadiness, some to be redirected by your no, some simply to glimpse what wholeness looks like in motion. You do not need to perform for any of them. You are not a storefront, you are a sanctuary. Sanctuaries do not hawk their holiness. They keep their lamps trimmed, their doors discerned, their altars clean. If the body is a temple, then this month is a festival. Sacred, embodied, alive. And festivals require order as much as celebration. Eat in ways that tell your cells the famine is over. Sleep like someone who trusts that God keeps watch. Move your limbs until your nervous system remembers it is a river and not a reservoir. Drink water and let it be a liturgy. Cool calm, entering a vessel committed to clarity. Pray short, honest prayers that calibrate your voltage. Keep me bright without burning, warm without wilting, open without leaking. Walk through your day with an inner posture that says, I carry fire, and fire is for light and for food and for forging. It is not for proving I can make a bigger flame than anyone else. When attention finds you, meet it with a steady gaze that does not audition. If admiration arrives dressed like entitlement, let your peace keep the threshold. If kindness arrives with clean hands, let it in and give it tea. The glow is not vanity. It is verification that you are inhabiting your life at full scale. Receive it with gratitude and humility, as a sign you are ready to steward more life, not as an excuse to spend it carelessly. Chosen ones do not apologize for the light God gives. They learn how to carry it so others can see without being blinded. Chosen one, attraction is not only a mirror saying you are seen. It is also a messenger asking, what will you do with being seen? This month, your magnetism is a classroom in discernment. Notice the approach of people as parables. Some come thirsty for your attention, some come hungry for your peace, some come curious about your story, some come to borrow your shine to backlight their own shadows. A few will be true companions whose presence steadies your breath. Many will be brief visitors, witnesses who are meant to learn that holiness can wear a human face. Your task is not to sort them with suspicion, but to weigh them with wisdom. Hold each encounter up to the light and ask the quiet questions only your spirit can hear. Does this draw me toward the God I love, or toward a version of myself I have already outgrown? Does this attention expand my peace or require me to shrink to keep it? Does this interest honor consent, truth, and timing, or demand a discount on all three? You are not a marketplace. You are a garden. Not every hand belongs on the roses. Not every passerby needs a tour. Some simply need to know that such a garden is possible, and then keep walking with hope. Attraction, handled as assignment, becomes a multiplier of good. The same current that electrifies your body can power your craft, your prayer, your leadership, your intercession for those drawn to you. When a conversation clearly wants your body while despising your values, let your no be clean and your blessing be distant. When a conversation honors your values and asks for your mind, give counsel without selling your center. When a conversation honors your person and asks for your presence in covenant ways, bring the whole of yourself at a pace that keeps truth intact. Consent is a sacrament. Practice it like communion. Your boundaries are not hedges to hide behind. They are gates that teach the world how to enter and leave without theft. The reason God allowed your attractiveness to swell in this particular season is not to inflate your ego or to confuse your map. It is to rehearse you for larger influence. The stage, the team, the table where your yes will carry more consequence and your no will preserve more lives than your own. Stewardship now is safety later. There will be counterfeits, flirtations that promise ease and deliver erosion, offers that smell like opportunity but taste like obligation, applause that tries to rent space in your decisions. Let your body's newfound aliveness be led by your spirit's oldest loyalty. Return to the simple tests that do not lie. Clean first, sustainable second, loving without lying third. If an invitation fails any part of that trinity, it is not your assignment, no matter how urgently it knocks. Remember, too, that you are allowed to receive beauty without owing yourself in return. Admiration can be a gift handed at your door, not a contract slid under it. Breathe. Say thank you. Close the door gently if needed. Walk back to your altar and keep the flame. The work, the worship, the laughter that does not need proof. In this way, attraction becomes apprenticeship, desire becomes direction, and every step you take this month, watched or unwatched, teaches your future how to recognize you when it arrives. And it will, because chosen ones who steward radiance as responsibility always meet the horizons they were born to bless. Chosen one desires a river, and rivers are holy when they remember their banks. What you feel in your blood this month is not a scandal, it is voltage. It hums behind your ribs the way summer hums in late afternoon, thick, generous, unmistakable. Many will call it attractiveness because they can sense the glow but not the grammar. You, however, are being taught the language of it. God is not trying to tame you into grayness. He is training you into governance so that your life can conduct this power without short-circuiting what you are building. Discipline is not the denial of desire, it is its direction. Notice how your body is already a kind of liturgy. Breath comes and goes like tides, and with each tide you choose who is captain, impulse or intention. When attention lands on your skin like warm rain, let breath choose intention. Slow the drum. Return to the sentence that has been saving you lately, the quiet inward sentence that steadies your hands. I carry fire, and fire is for light, for warmth, for forging. You are not afraid of combustion anymore because you have learned where to set the wood and when to close the stove. Desire without craft becomes smoke. Desire with craft becomes bread and shelter and psalm. There is a false story in the world that says high desire must be immediately satisfied or it will sour into shame. You are living a truer story. You have watched longing, when honored and housed, ferment into courage, into poetry, into prayer that does not beg, but partners. The surge that once tried to turn you into a meteor now powers slow constellations, callings that do not streak and vanish but hold their positions and guide others home. This is why you rise early, why you keep ink and paper nearby, why you let your feet move before your phone does. You are giving the current work to do. You are turning ache into architecture. Expect this river to make you more honest. Desire that is stewarded refuses costume. You will hear yourself telling the truth with a steadiness that surprises even you. I am drawn to beauty, but I do not belong to every invitation. I am alive in my body, and I am not for purchase. I welcome affection, and I walk at a pace that keeps my soul beside me. These are not walls, they are windows with latches. People can see you clearly, and if they are good for you, they will learn the pleasure of knocking. If they do not knock, you will not translate trespass as romance again. Discipline is not only about what you decline, it is also about what you indulge on purpose. You feed yourself colors and music and words that lift your chin. You let sweat write psalms your mouth cannot find yet. You give time to craft until excellence loosens your jaw and joy slips out unannounced. You do not starve your body to prove you are holy. You nourish it to prove you remember you are a temple. Temples are not museums for dead things. They are living houses where offerings taste like meals and singing sounds like strength. You were once tempted to hide your radiance so you wouldn't have to manage it. Hiding felt easier than holy. But easy is not what you were made for. You were made for mastery, the kind that keeps you soft while you stay strong. When desire knocks in the voice of someone you find lovely, let clarity answer the door with you. Ask the questions that protect your weather. Does this attention love my peace as much as it loves my face? Does this pursuit honor my tomorrow as much as it thrills my today? Does this touch ask for covenant or only for access? Some will not pass the threshold these questions set, and you will bless them from the porch. Some will. You will discover that the right yes becomes quieter and heavier, like a key that fits because it was cut on purpose. The wrong yes is always loud because it must drown out your knowing. You do not need volume anymore. You need truth. Do not be surprised when old patterns try to audition again, when the rush of being wanted beckons you to outrun your wisdom. Desire that is not disciplined demands speed. Desire that is disciplined practices timing. You will learn to pause at the edge of joy long enough to ensure it can carry its own weight. You will learn to continue walking when flattery begs you to sit where your calling cannot breathe. You will learn to leave rooms your body said yes to, but your spirit cannot live in. This will not make you colder, it will make you clearer. Clarity is a kindness to every future hour. If anyone calls your restraint repression, let the life you are making answer them. Let the work that glows. Let the friendships that do not require you to forget yourself. Let the sleep that returns like a faithful tide. You are becoming the kind of person in whose presence others feel their dignity stand up straighter. That is what disciplined desire does when it is married to purpose. It turns you into a climate where people can breathe. There is nothing prudish about this holiness. It is sensual in the truest sense. Your sense is lit, ordered, available to experience beauty without turning it into a bargain. And when night falls and the hum is still in your bones, do what you have learned to do. Put your hand over your heart and bless your own aliveness. Thank God for bodies and for seasons and for the strange generosity of being wanted. Then give the voltage its assignment for tomorrow. Flow through my work, my worship, my words. Keep my yes clean and my no kind. Fall asleep not as a guard dog at the door of your impulses, but as a gardener who knows the river will keep the garden green because the banks are strong. Chosen one, beauty has an ethics. Presence has a way of moving that either dignifies or devours. This month you are learning to carry magnetism like a sacrament, handled with clean hands, offered without coercion, never used to confuse or coerce. The world will try to hire your glow as a salesperson. It will suggest that your charm is a lever and every heart a vending machine if you press the right combination. But you know another kingdom, where light is not bait and warmth is not a trap. In that kingdom, attraction is stewardship, and the first command is simple: do no harm. Magnetism becomes manipulation the moment it begins to harvest people instead of honor them. You feel the line in your body. Manipulation tastes like adrenaline and leaves you hollow. Integrity tastes like bread and leaves you fed enough to feed others. When a room tilts toward you, you will notice the temptation to orchestrate attention like a conductor with a baton of compliments and timing. Lay it down. Let silence do some of the conducting. Let truth carry its own weight. Let your humor bless without making a meal of someone else's softness. Your power does not need props. It does not require a witness to be real. The practice is subtle. You keep your gaze soft so attention becomes blessing rather than hook. You let touch remain sacrament, reserved for contexts that can carry it without collateral. You learn the craft of refusal that does not humiliate. A no that respects the image of God in the asker, even when the request does not respect the image of God in you. You stay awake to the ways flattery can smuggle entitlement, and you respond with a smile and a boundary, both intact. Thank you is complete in your mouth. No is complete in your mouth. Not for me is complete in your mouth. These are the notes of a song that keeps you free. Your magnetism will attract projections. Some will see you as a fantasy, others as a threat, still others as a shortcut to their own healing. You are none of these. You are a person, luminous because you are aligned. When projection arrives, meet it with proportion. Offer reality. I am human, not a portal to skip your work. Offer pace. I move slowly enough to hear truth. Offer limits. I am not available for becoming your mirror or your enemy. Projections lose interest in rooms where reality stays on the walls. Keep your walls honest and your windows open, and the air will clear. There is a deeper danger to avoid, the temptation to manipulate yourself. When magnetism rises, insecurity may try to negotiate control. Pose this way, speak that way, edit your edges so approval keeps clapping. You have healed too much to live on that leash again. You will not harvest your own soul for applause. You will not turn your story into exhibition in exchange for affirmation. You will not bleed for attention dressed as intimacy. You will keep parts of your life untelevised, because mystery is a sanctuary where holiness can breathe. The altar is not a stage. Your heart is not a brand. Carry your influence like a lantern at night, high enough to help others see the path, low enough not to blind them. Notice how rooms reorganize when you decide not to compete for center. The circle widens, quieter voices rise, the conversation stops orbiting spectacle and starts orbiting substance. You guide this shift with gentle pivots, a question that digs for truth, a pause that leaves space for conscience to answer, a redirection when the current starts to pull cheap. You do it without fanfare, because fanfare would betray the work. Integrity is shy. It blooms best when the lights are honest, not bright. Magnetism without manipulation also means letting yourself be chosen for the right reasons. You will not accept roles that require you to be less truthful than you are beautiful. You will not agree to relationships that admire your glow but resent your boundaries. You will not sell your availability to anyone who treats access as entitlement. You are not auditioning, you are aligning. Where alignment is mutual, values matched, timing honored, consent celebrated, you may find covenant worth your yes. Where alignment fails, you bless and release without writing a villain. When you refuse manipulation, you also refuse melodrama. Peace is theatrical only to those addicted to chaos. Remember that the greatest proof of ethical magnetism is how people feel after they leave you. Do they feel more themselves, or did they have to abandon themselves to stay in your orbit? Do they feel clarified, or merely excited? Do they feel invited to rise or pressured to perform? The answer is in your posture. When you are anchored, your presence becomes permission for others to anchor. When you are humble, your presence becomes permission for others to tell the truth. When you are obedient to God rather than to the market of attention, your presence becomes a weather pattern that nourishes rather than strips. You will fail at this sometimes. You will speak too quickly, accept an invitation because it glittered, enjoy being admired past the point where it serves anyone. Repentance will be your rescue. It will return you to yourself without making you small. It will tune your magnetism back to service. It will teach you the difference between being captivating and being captured. In that lesson, you will remember why God turned up your brightness in the first place, not to make you famous, but to make you faithful with more people watching. Walk through this month with your palms open. Let compliments land and run off like rainwater that finds the garden rather than flooding the house. Let longing visit and be converted into art, into intercession, into deeds that spare someone else a night you had to endure. Let attention come and go while you keep covenant with your calling. This is magnetism without manipulation, beauty that refuses to bargain, warmth that refuses to burn, gravity that refuses to trap. Chosen ones carry power like this, and the world, thirsty and wary, learns to trust light again because you did. Chosen one, there are months when life feels like a sparkler, bright, brief, burning at the edge of your fingertips. This month is not that. This month is a hidden power station humming under your ribs. The very current you name as high sexual energy is the same voltage God braided into you for building, blessing, making, and moving the world a few inches closer to Eden. Do not waste it on spectacle. Let it fund creation. Creation does not begin with a crowd. It begins with a pulse. You wake and feel the charge before language arrives, a low thrum asking to be given a task. Give it a worthy one. Assign it to craft that will still be nourishing when the lights go out and the timeline sleeps. The poem that needs a spine, the business plan that keeps glancing at you from the corner of the desk, the melody that has been pacing the hallway of your mind, the ministry blueprint scratched on napkins. These are not hobbies, they are altars. Bring the energy like oil. Watch ordinary seeds swell. You will notice how swiftly desire becomes imagination when it is honored. Ideas start arriving in complete sentences instead of fragments. Colors look louder. Problems that used to intimidate you now look solvable because voltage makes courage practical. Courage does not shout. It shows up to do the next page, the next meeting, the next phone call that opens the right door. There is an exquisite satisfaction in this, taking what could have been spent by midnight and investing it in a future that can feed others. Your aliveness becomes bread someone else will eat months from now without ever knowing what it cost you to bake it. Learn the pace of the kiln. Creation, like pottery, needs heat and time. Too little heat and the vessel slumps, too much too fast and it cracks. The heat you carry will want to rush your process. Resist the sprint. Let drafts be drafts and sketches be sketches. This is not hesitation, it is maturation. When your mind wants to leap to the finish, return to the loom of the day. Thread this moment through the shuttle. Outline, revise, rehearse. The point is not to dull your fire. It is to teach the fire to sustain warmth long enough to cure what you are making into something durable. Your body knows more about creation than any manual. Listen to its cues and convert them into rituals that turn voltage into work and worship. When your chest hums, step into motion. Walk until the hum becomes rhythm and the rhythm becomes sentences. When your hands tingle, put them on keys, strings, clay, countertops. Let them learn the pleasure of producing rather than grasping. When your mouth wants to rush toward unhelpful words, feed it instead with language that builds, prayers so simple they feel like scaffolding, declarations so honest they feel like oxygen. Creation is built out of these small obediences, repeated until a shape appears and calls you by name. Expect resistance, outer and inner. The outer resistance will arrive as distractions disguised as opportunities, applause that tries to purchase your attention, invitations that flatter your hunger but do not feed your calling. Bless them and keep building. The inner resistance will arrive as an old narrative whispering that you are only valuable when you are consumable. Answer it by finishing chapters no one is applauding yet, by learning skills that will not trend but will last, by loving the kind of excellence that cannot be faked. Nothing starves seduction like a calendar that tells the truth. Let this energy irrigate not only projects, but people. Sit with a friend and pour steadiness where they are leaking courage. Mentor someone younger and watch their eyes catch fire from your simple sentences. This is how I kept going. This is what I told myself when the door stayed shut. This is the prayer that always finds me when I'm lost. You will feel the current redistribute itself in those moments. No less alive, just cleaner. Like a river that has learned to feed fields rather than flood them. Creation loves partnership. It multiplies among witnesses. Do not forget beauty, not as performance, but as fuel. Arrange flowers because your senses are worth educating. Light a candle at a desk that remembers more beginnings than endings. Wear a color that turns your posture into a vow. Beauty is not vanity, it is vitamin. It teaches the body the world is still worth blessing. And you, chosen one, are a blessing machine when you are aligned. Study how joy makes you prolific. Study how gratitude increases your range. Study how quiet, when you protect it, becomes a forge where your best ideas return home. There will be nights when the surge feels like a tide too strong for your small harbor. On those nights, give the energy a larger shoreline. Pray for cities, intercede for strangers. Write letters you may never send, letters to the future you, to the team you hope to lead, to the family that will need your patience, to the chosen ones who will read your words when you are not in the room. Put the voltage to work on work that outlives your mood. Sleep afterward like a steward who has done the day's portion. Wake and do it again, not because you are striving, but because rivers love to run. And if anyone asks why your eyes are bright and your output steady, you will not point to luck or to the crowd. You will point to the quiet transaction God taught you this month. The conversion of heat into harvest, of ache into architecture, of radiance into responsible making. This is energy for creation. Spend it like someone who intends to leave behind more light than they borrowed. Chosen one, brightness invites approach. This is beautiful and at times blunt. The same light that draws butterflies draws hands that never learn to knock. This month will test your boundaries, not to expose your weakness, but to certify your stewardship. Think of boundaries not as moats around your life, but as the banks that keep the river generous. A river without banks is a flood. A life without lines becomes someone else's project. The first test arrives as immediacy. Your phone lights up with messages that do not regard the hour. Invitations arrive stamped urgent that were planned without you in mind until they needed your glow. Past versions of you might have answered every summons, mistaking responsiveness for love. The you God is maturing knows that love is not measured in response time, but in truth kept. You will learn the gentle firmness of phrases that are doors instead of walls. I'm not available tonight. Here's when I am. I'd like to think and reply tomorrow. I can help plan, not rescue. You will discover the surprising mercy of these sentences, how they keep you intact and teach others to time their asks with respect. Another test arrives as entitlement wrapped in charm. Compliments that feel like a hand on the small of your back, slowly steering you toward a yes you never spoke. Smiles practiced to outvote your inner witness. This is where you remember that consent is not the absence of no, it is the presence of a clean yes. If your yes cannot breathe, it is not consent. If your body leans forward while your spirit leans back, believe the spirit. The boundary here is not a performance. It is a posture, shoulders square, voice low, eyes steady. Thank you. No, the earth does not split when you say it. The faithful people will stay. Some tests will masquerade as ministry. You will be invited to help in ways that require you to abandon yourself. You will be asked for your story in rooms that have not shown they can hold it. You will be told that your availability is evidence of humility. You know better. Humility is not self-erasure, it is accuracy. Accuracy says, I am a person, not a utility. Accuracy says, here's what I can give this week and keep my soul. Accuracy says, ask me for what I offer, not for what flattery imagines. The boundary, set this way, honors God because it refuses to confuse sacrifice with self-harm. Old ghosts will try to reopen negotiations. History will knock, wearing the jacket of familiarity. A former partner who knows your soft spots, a friend who admired you most when you were uncertain, a community that misspelled loyalty as constant access. Their requests will sound like home. But home is not where your peace is held hostage. Home is where your yes and your no can both sit on the couch without fighting. Listen for that room. Say, with a tender finality, I bless what we were, I choose what I am. Then keep walking at the pace your future requires. You will also meet a subtler test, the temptation to make boundaries punitive. When you are tired, the line wants to become a wall. The no wants to come with a sting. Resist the theater of that. The purpose of a boundary is not to humiliate, it is to instruct. Set them like road signs, clear, visible, unembarrassed. Maintain them like hedges, trimmed regularly so they do not turn into thorns. Repair them when they're breached without turning the repair into a scene. Adults can learn. If they refuse, distance becomes its own curriculum. Remember that boundaries are not only words, they are calendars, rooms, and rituals. Keep margins on your days so that interruptions do not evict your kindness. Arrange your spaces so that intimacy has places to sit and performance has nowhere to stage itself. Close the laptop when your tone begins to spend tomorrow's patience. Leave gatherings while you still respect yourself. Eat before the meeting that always runs long so your hunger does not negotiate a poor decision. These are not quirks, they are engineering. They make grace sustainable. Consent applies to your attention as surely as to your body. Not every conversation has earned the right to carry your focus. Not every crisis is yours to triage. When guilt arrives dressed as generosity, you're the only one who can fix this. Hand it your new creed. I am not the only one. I am the one who will remain honest about what I can do. Your honesty is a lighthouse for other chosen ones exhausted by heroics. Lighthouses do not chase ships. They stand where ships can find them. There will be sacred exceptions, moments when love asks you to stretch further than your schedule and your wisdom both planned. You will know them because God's peace will be present in the stretch, even while fatigue is real. Do the extra hour, sit in the hospital, show up at midnight with soup and silence. Then return to your lines before love turns into leakage. Boundaries expand for mercy. They do not evaporate. The stretch is part of your stewardship, not proof that the lines were unnecessary. Let your boundaries teach your beauty how to behave. Beauty without lines becomes a currency anyone can spend. Beauty within lines becomes a language that tells the truth. In your presence, people will start to trust that attraction does not equal access, that warmth is not a trap, that proximity does not purchase ownership. This trust is rare and holy. It will change how rooms feel after you leave. Calm will linger, clarity will grow. Regret will be minimal because consent was real. And after a day of many doors, sit with God and let Him walk the perimeter with you. Where did you hold true? Where did you waver? Where did you turn a fence into a wall or a wall into a stage? Confess, adjust, bless. Thank your body for alerting you when something felt off. Thank your spirit for staying loyal.